Today on Cityline, what's the root of good fortune? Why are some people quick to advance while others fail, no matter how hard they try? A new book says everyone can learn how to earn good luck. That's next. Hi, everyone. I'm Karen Holmes Ward. Later in the program, counting for the U.S. Census and a discussion on Latino politics. But first, today's tough job market makes it hard to think positive about your career. But Glenn Llopis says you can create and maintain good fortune even in tough times. His new book, Earning Serendipity, 4 Skills for Creating and Sustaining Good Fortune in Your Work, aims to help people gain the type of career success he has experienced. Llopis was the youngest senior manager ever at the Sunkist Corporation and was vice president of a $1 billion company. That's $1 billion by age 30. Welcome, Glenn.
Thank you. It's so great to be here.
What is the secret?
Well, first of all, I've been at this for quite a long time. In fact, I've been doing my book tour now for the past 6 months, and I've tried to get at a pulse of what's really taking place now in America. And people are hurting. And I can tell you, the only way I was able to write such a book was because I, too, was a victim myself 5 years ago of misfortune. So I know what it's like to feel as if you can never regain back your momentum. And
what happened to you 5 years ago that had you in a down slump?
Well, actually, I found myself in a bad situation with the business partner, and I'm sure many people can relate with that, but it's what I did with the situation that really is what matters, and that's really what I'm trying to teach people through the words in Earning Serendipity, because people do and can control their path to prosperity.
So it's about turning negative energy into positive energy.
Well, what it really is really mastering 4 core skills. And the first one is seeing with circular vision. And that's really having that ability to understand those things that lie around, beneath, and beyond you. My father always used to say that life is really all about people, both in and outside of the workplace. And we tend to find ourselves dealing with 4 specific types of people. One is leaders, lifters, loafers, and leeches. And I'm sure everyone that hears those words can associate certain types of people. And so always try to find yourself associating with the leaders and the lifters and stay away from those leeches and loafers, because I got caught with a leech and it set me back. But it was my ability to truly believe and trust in my brand. And my parents are both Cuban Americans, immigrants. It really taught me the value of the immigrant perspective, and they really taught me at a very young age how to trust my brand.
Trust your brand. Trust your brand and trust your gut when you're identifying these people who are in your universe.
Well, it's really interesting because I always believe that your heart talks to you. Listen to it because it has the right answers, which really kind of leads to the second point of Earning Serendipity, which is sowing entrepreneurial seeds. That's sowing those ideas of opportunity. And I always try to impress upon people, especially here within the Boston area, because we have some of the best schools in the country here, and we have entrepreneurs that are being born right now. But I want people to really learn through this book what it really means to be an entrepreneur, because the greatest inventions and innovations of our time were born from entrepreneurs. Now,
sometimes, though, the saying, I want to be an entrepreneur, sounds a little bit scary because you have to step outside of yourself. There's risk involved.
Sure.
You don't know what's at the end of the road once you take that first step. How do you steel yourself to become an entrepreneur and to take that first step?
Well, the first thing is you need to learn to trust your brand. I mean, you really need to understand what it means to trust your brand and learn to explore your strengths and weaknesses, and making sure that you're living your strengths each and every day and identifying your purpose and cause and having that sense of belief in yourself, and then putting that belief to the test by marketing yourself so that when it's time to trust, trusting is about sharing, and sharing is about giving. And that's one of the things that I talk about in the book is a lot of successful entrepreneurs, the most successful entrepreneurs that have been able to sustain themselves are those that learn how to share the harvest. And that's really focusing on sharing the momentum that you build with and through others.
And you know, you're talking about sharing. Your bio describes you as a new school entrepreneur who regards character, innovation, and social responsibility as the most essential components to success. That social responsibility piece, very important. Talk a little bit more about that.
Sure. Well, today in corporate America, we hear that term social responsibility. In fact, the theoretical term is corporate social responsibility, CSR. And for many years, we've talked about it, but it's really been utilized more as a PR ploy. And I'm working right now with a professor at the University of Southern California, Adelaide Wortman, who really has created this society and business lab that focuses on making corporate social responsibility the core component of a business strategy. So social responsibility is about giving first, and it's really a part that is a process that unites business and community. In fact, I talked to a young college student the other day, and they're confused about what business is all about. And I always tell them that business is not about making money. It's about making the world a better place. And enterprise should be focusing on how to share the relationships of their successes in and throughout their local communities.
Now, you're very successful. We talked about the fact that you, rose to the top of a billion-dollar business by age 30. I wonder how much of this also is seeds that are planted by parents. You talked about your Cuban American background.
Yes.
Your father had roots in music, but went on to become one of the co-creators of Miller Lite. So, how much of this is the environment that you grow up in?
Sure. Well, I think it's a combination of the roots that come from your home and then the people that you decide to associate with. Much like I mentioned earlier, associate yourself with those leaders and lifters. But I tell people, especially now, as our communities are changing and the landscape of business and society is changing, my immigrant roots have been extraordinarily valuable for me. I actually believe that I was born an entrepreneur. In fact, I always say that immigrants have this tendency of coming to this country, and I know that there's a large density of immigrants here and throughout Boston. And they come here and they see the foundation that exists. They see the systems that exist. And what they bring with them is that spirit of opportunity. And so earning serendipity is about how to see and seize those opportunities. And it was my father that really taught me how to see them and seize them. And it's interesting little story, if I may, but sure. My father is the one that said, write everything down that you experience. And my book is actually a compilation of 12 years of traveling throughout the world, taking notes on restaurant napkins and collecting them in shoe boxes. But every time I had an experience, I'd go back and share it with my father so that he can tell me how to interpret that in everyday life. So the book was written using very basic vocabulary so that a 15-year-old and someone who's 50 plus could read the book and then unite and enjoy it together, because part of the central theme of the book is that relationship that I've had with my father and the wisdom that I've been able to utilize throughout my life that's led to my success.
Give us some quick key words for people who want to just begin something entrepreneurial and may not have the courage to do so at the moment.
Well, first of all, it's 4 things. It's seeing, sowing, growing, and sharing. We talked about seeing with circular vision. We talked about sowing entrepreneurial seeds and having that trust in your brand to pursue your ideas and ideals. But it's also growing those seeds of greatest potential. And this is where it's so critical to maintain momentum. And I always say, learn how to captivate those seeds that have the greatest potential for growth and maintain focus. And for all those entrepreneurs out there, I know that you want to do a lot of things and you have a lot of ideas, but stay focused. I mean, look what's happened to our economy today. The reason that we're in this mess
is people lost focus.
That's exactly right. They lost focus
That's right.
on the opportunities that really mattered.
And I like the other 2 words, avoid the loafers and the leeches.
That's exactly right.
Very good advice. Now, for more information about Glenn, thank you for joining us today to give us this great information. Make sure you see his website. It's Glenn, LLOPIS.com or earningserendipity.com. Up next, America is already getting ready for its next census count. Find out how the face of America could change in 2010.